This is Radio Nepal. I'm Dila Prasai with the news, the headlines first. Queen Elizabeth II dies at the age of 96. Prime Minister Singh Durbar expresses sadness over the death of the British monarch. Seat allocation task force of ruling alliance nears consensus on seat sharing. Cultural and religious festival of Indra Jatra being observed today. And US approves $2.6 billion in aid for Ukraine and allies. Now the news in detail. Queen of the United Kingdom, Elizabeth II died yesterday at the age of 96. Buckingham Palace announced late yesterday that Queen Elizabeth died at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. She was under the supervision of doctors for the last few days. Her death ended the longest reign of a monarch in British history. She was also the world's oldest head of state. Late Queen Elizabeth held the responsibility of the head of state of the United Kingdom for as many as 70 years. She ascended the British throne in the year 1952. Now her son, Charles, will become the new king of the country. He will be called King Charles III. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Singh Durbar has expressed grief and sadness over the death of late Queen Elizabeth II. The Prime Minister said that the late Queen had distinguished herself with duty, honour and service. In a tweet yesterday, Prime Minister Durbar said he fondly remembered Queen Elizabeth's state visit to Nepal in 1961 and 1986. The ruling 5 political parties have neared the seat sharing for the November 20 election to the provincial and federal parliaments. Task Force Secretary Kesav Raj Joshi said the ruling coalition held 2-party and multi-party meetings at Prime Minister's residence in Balwatar yesterday, which largely narrowed down the contention. The seat allocation task force has prepared the draft on seat sharing by taking into account the votes the parties got in the last election and some political issues. The Election Commission has approved the election scheduled for the first-past-the-post system under the upcoming federal and provincial elections slated for November 20. As per the approved schedule, the Commission calls for nominations from the candidates on the 9th of October. The names of the nominated candidates will also be published on the same day. Likewise, complaints against the candidates can be filed on the 10th of October. Investigations into the complaints and the final name list of candidates will be published on the 11th of October. The Commission will provide election symbols to candidates on the 12th of October. Indra Jatra, the festival of rain and good harvest, is being observed today across the country. The festival that falls on Vadra Shukla Chaturdasi is marked in Kathmandu, Lalitpur, Bhaktapur, Dhulikhel, Dolakha and other districts. The 8-day festival is dedicated to Lord Indra, the god of rain. Various ceremonies and processions take place during the festival and it concludes with series of ceremonies including Lakhinach. President Vidyadevi Bhandari has wished for happiness, peace, prosperity and good health to all Nepalis at home and abroad on the occasion of Indra Jatra festival today. In a message of greetings today, the President hoped that the Indra Jatra, like century-old unique festivals, would help promote our ancient civilization and cultures. Prime Minister Singh Durbar has wished for peace, prosperity and happiness to all Nepalis living in the country and abroad on the occasion of the Indra Jatra festival today. In a message, Prime Minister Durbar said the festival was observed by showing gratitude to God Indra, the god of rains and good harvest, has shown that there was inseparable relations between nature and human. Today commemorates the 109th birth anniversary of B.P. Koirala, Nepal's first democratically elected Prime Minister and legendary leader of Nepal's democratic movement of 1950s. The day is being observed today by organising various programs across the country. Koirala, born on Bhadra 24 in 1971, Bikram Sambat, had waged rigorous struggle for the establishment and restoration of democracy in the country. Koirala had instituted Nepali Congress Party against the Rana regime in 2003 BS and continued movement with cooperation of various leaders. Minister for Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation Pampha Bhusal has assured that reservoir-based hydropower projects will be constructed in a strategic way. Taking part in a discussion organised in Lalitpur yesterday, Minister Bhusal clarified that the government was committed to protecting people's right to water while developing reservoir-based projects. The Energy Minister also urged all the political parties and hydropower experts to contribute to the cause of the nation and people. Likewise, Energy Minister Pampha Bhusal said the state-owned mass media should play a leading role while disseminating news. Addressing the inaugural ceremony of the Radio Nepal chapter of Nepal National Employees Union at Singh Durbar yesterday, Minister Bhusal called the attention of the concerned sides to strengthen and promote Radio Nepal. Minister Bhusal applauded the roles played by Radio Nepal during difficult times in the country. On the occasion, Radio Nepal's Executive Director Buddhi Bahadur Kisi said Radio Nepal had been working hard to meet the targets of the state. A delegation led by chairperson of France-Nepal Inter-Parliamentary Friendship Group, Daniel Salmon, paid separate courtesy calls on House Speaker Agni Prasad Sapkota and chairperson of the National Assembly, Ganesh Prasad Timalsina, yesterday. During the meeting held at Singh Durbar, Speaker Sapkota mentioned that climate change is having a direct impact and effect in many countries, stressing the need of joining hands to tackle it. Similarly, Parliamentary Group Chairperson Salmon shared about the ecotourism practices done by France to mitigate the impacts of climate change. He also said France was ready to support Nepal in tackling the impacts of climate change. President Vidyadevi Bhandari has appointed Hari Chandra Ghimire and Diliraj Paudel as the Nepali ambassadors to Myanmar and Malaysia respectively. They were appointed upon the recommendation of the government in accordance with Article 282(1) of Constitution of Nepal, according to spokesperson at President's Office Sagar Acharya. Meanwhile, the Nepali ambassador to the United Kingdom, Gyan Chandra Acharya, has been appointed as the non-resident ambassador to Malta and ambassador to the United States, Professor Sridhar Khatri, the non-resident ambassador to Costa Rica. The Kathmandu District Court has issued an arrest warrant against captain of Nepal national cricket team Sandeep Lamithani. The district police range Kathmandu in a notice yesterday confirmed the issuance of the arrest warrant for further investigation into the matter. Lamithani is currently outside Nepal to play cricket match. Lamithani is accused of having sexual relationship with a minor without consent. On September 6, the 17-year-old girl filed a police case at the Metropolitan Police Circle Gaushala accusing Lamithani of raping her. Meanwhile, the Cricket Association of Nepal CAN has suspended the captain of the Nepal national cricket team Sandeep Lamithani after he was accused of rape. Lamithani has been relieved as per the decision taken by the execution committee of the CAN of his duty as the cricket team's captain. You are listening to Radio Nepal 8 a.m. English News Bulletin. Now on to some international updates. The U.S. has approved nearly $2.7 billion in new aid for Ukraine and allies, including $675 million in weapons for Ukraine as it battles Russia. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced the arms package at a meeting with dozens of fellow ministers at the U.S. airbase in Germany. The aid includes Hawaii's ammunitions, Humvee vehicles, armored ambulances and anti-tank systems. The U.S. has already placed at least $13 billion in military aid for Ukraine. Australia has legislated a climate target for the first time with a promise to slash emissions by at least 43% by 2030, passing the parliament. The country is one of the world's biggest emitters per capita, and the target brings it more in line with other developed countries. But critics say government plans to reach the target are lacking detail. Some have been demanding a higher goal as well as a ban on new fossil fuel projects in the country. But Prime Minister Anthony Albanese had lauded the new law, the Climate Change Bill, as an end to a decade of climate policy in action. Now the general weather forecast for the country for today. Forecasting division says the weather is likely to be partly to generally cloudy throughout the country. Light to moderate rain with thunder and lightning is likely to occur at some places of Province 1, Madhya Province, Bagmati Province and Gandaki Province, and at one or two places of the rest of the provinces. Kathmandu's weather report now. Maximum temperature of 25.2 degrees Celsius and minimum temperature of 20.2 degrees Celsius. With this news, we have come to the end of this bulletin, but before we wrap up the headlines once again. Queen Elizabeth II dies at the age of 96. Prime Minister Sherbahadur Deoba expresses sadness over the death of the British monarch. Seat allocation task force of ruling alliance nears consensus on seat sharing. Cultural and religious festival of Indra Jatra being observed today across the country. And US approves $2.6 billion in aid for Ukraine and allies. Well, that's all that we have for this edition. Our next English news edition is at 2 in the afternoon. You can also listen to us online at our website www.radionepal.gov.np for more news and online programs. Stay tuned, stay safe and have a good day.